Now let's hear what you have to say. Joining me now is Phil Harris. Phil, how are you?
Very well, thank you, Tim. Good to be here this afternoon.
Good to see you, mate. How was your Melbourne Cup day yesterday? No doubt you were on show doing some auctions and whatnot.
Yeah, had a very big day yesterday, actually, Tim, over at the Hilton, watching the Melbourne Cup for Variety Club there. We actually managed to raise quite a large amount of money, so it was a pretty good day. Didn't have any luck on the horses, but we raised some money for Variety, which was most important.
Well, any exciting auction items?
There were a couple of items, a couple of nice, some Don Bradman memorabilia, some usual stuff up for grabs, which all went very well.
Good work, good work. I was at the Sunday Mail lunch and we had a Jersey Boys ticket to into Melbourne. It was a bit of fun. So, Phil, we've got some emails to go through, and the first one's from Andrew at Windvale. He's asking us whether he thinks it, or whether we think it's worth him repaving a driveway which is currently gravel. He's a 1970s house in Windvale, obviously, and he's wondering whether if he sells the property, he's going to get any value out of repaving or concreting, or leaving it as gravel.
Okay, very valid question. I think the first piece of advice I'd be giving there, Tim, really comes down to how soon he's looking at actually putting the property on the market. So I'd say it really comes down to cost and return. So if he's looking at putting the property on the market in the immediate future, then I'm probably suggesting concreting or paving would be a very expensive exercise. Yeah. So I'll be looking more cosmetically, just some nice gravel just to get the home prepared for sale. That would probably be the advice. But if he's looking at staying on there for perhaps a larger period of time, a 2 to 5 year period, then paving or concrete might be an appropriate option for him.
Yeah, he's talking about $6,000 to do the job, so
no,
I'd be struggling to offer the advice to.
Just don't think he's going to see it at the other end. If he spends $6,000, you need to get at least that in sale price. I just can't see that happening.
Yeah, it's an interesting question to deal with. I guess the old story of capital expenditure when you are putting a house on the market is a big trade-off in terms of the number of dollars that you spend as opposed to the benefit you get in the sale price.
Yep.
So we might go to another email, and one from Justin, who is watching from Sydney, and he's asking us to look into the crystal ball. Perhaps we'll take a phone call first.
We've got a call.
Just a moment. Hi there, Phil and Tim here.
Oh, hi guys, it's Kim from Adelaide. How are you?
Very well, thanks. Kim, yourself?
Good, thank you.
Good.
Question for us.
Yeah, the question is, I've got a courtyard home in the western suburbs around the Cheltenham area. It's been renting for the last year or so. I need to liven it up and freshen it up for sale, and I'm just inquiring about how that might be done in summer, given the lawn's looking quite thirsty at the moment.
Phil, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, well, there's a couple of things you need to focus on there, Kim. The first thing I'll be doing as far as the lawns go, obviously that would need to be addressed, and obviously need to comply in doing that the correct way. But presentation is everything in selling a home, Kim. So I'd really be going through the property. Have the tenants actually vacated the property yet, Kim?
Not as yet, no.
Not as. When are they looking at moving out pretty soon? Are they?
Inside the next month or two.
In the next month or two, yeah. Well, I'd be looking at once they've actually, or even if they would allow you to possibly have a quick peep through the property now, you might just want to get in there and just have a look and see what type of things need to be done in the home. Because generally we'd probably recommend maybe a fresh lick of paint and just a little bit of a general tidy up around the gardens and inside, just to freshen the home up and get it ready for sale.
Tim, another thing that I'd mention at the moment is that you've got, I think it's 3 hours a week to water your gardens. Twice a week you have an opportunity. I'd be perhaps buying an automatic timer for the tenants and asking them if they would graciously turn the sprinklers on for you, so that you can perhaps get a little bit more water into the garden and really make it sparkle. Anthony referred to presentation, and the first look at the property is the garden from the front is absolutely paramount to have it looking sparkling good. So I reckon it's well worthwhile. But thanks for your call and all the best.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Kim.
Phil, just back to that question, the email question we had before, the median price, 20 years on from now, where in Adelaide are we going to have the biggest median price?
Okay. Well, as far as the median price goes, I suppose if we look at the past to predict the future, I suppose, if you look at the homes that have got the highest median sale price at the moment, you can't help but go past Unley Park, Medindi, Gilbert and these types of suburbs. And they've obviously got very large median sale prices due to the obvious facts of very large allotments, as you know. The majority are all character homes,
Yep.
and they're all centrally located, either close to the CBD or close to cafe strips of King William Road and North Adelaide, those types of areas. So in 20 years' time, you would probably think that those suburbs will still have the most significant median sale prices.
Yeah, it's a fair chance that'll be the case. The other one I'd throw in is into the hills and perhaps the likes of Stirling, with a similar sort of layout in terms of large land holdings, some character homes there as well. And of course the Stirling village is pretty attractive to people as well. So it's got a lot of the same characteristics. Perhaps moving on to another email question for you. This one's an interesting one. It's about community titles.
Mm-hmm.
Community titles, perhaps we'll go to the phone.
Another caller?
Another call. And Leanne, is it?
Yes, it is.
Leanne, how are you?
I'm good, thank you.
What's your question for Phil and I?
The other day, or a couple of weeks ago, there was a beautiful little property down at Glenelg, and I put an offer in on the place. I understand that it was submitted to the owner, but I've since found out that the property was sold to someone else, and I probably would have paid a little bit more. What's the go there?
Oh, it's sounding interesting. What do you think, Phil?
Sounds like an exciting one there, Leanne. Well, I think, so just to clarify, you put an offer in, somebody else's offer was accepted, and you feel as though you probably would have paid a little bit more for it, is that right?
Absolutely. You know how you go in and you're not really going to tell them everything the first time. I thought I might have got another option.
Sure, okay. Well, Liam, I think the most important thing when you look at submitting an offer on the property is you really need to establish with the agent right up front what the rules are going to be, because certain individual agents and agencies for that matter will have a different approach to negotiations in the way they transact property. So you really need to know from the agent up front, is it going to be your best and final offer to start with, or are the rules that they are actually going to be coming back to you should they receive a higher offer? So you need to know what those rules are up front to obviously avoid the situation where you're in, which is you've missed out on a property, and unfortunately for you, you feel as though you probably would have paid a little bit more had you known that would have actually secured the property. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. So basically just kind of ask them the first time, do I get another chance, or is this my only option? So
Yeah, right up front you need to know, is it